Lewis looking for that first victory since the summer of 2014. Maybe it will come this week. Arriving here a little under the radar, Stacey Lewis off to a good start, a round of 68. Nicole Brock Larsen, the rookie from Denmark, a winner on the Ladies European Tour. This at the 14th. And Brock Larsen with a really good day, having bogeyed her third hole of the day. She has bounced back and would make that one to get to 5 under par. So let's check how things stand right now. There is Brock Larsen at 5 under par alongside Lizette Salas, who lost in a playoff here a few years ago to Suzanne Pedersen. Beth Allen in her second year on the LPGA Tour. She has topped the LET money list before. A lot of talent from Beth Allen. There is Brooke Henderson alongside Angela Stanford at 2 under par. The world number 4, In-Ji Chun, also at 2 under here on day 1 of the Lotte Championship. Hawaii, a place to unwind, relax, get away from the hustle and bustle. But not for those on the LPGA Tour. This week is no vacation. The Lotte Championship is one of the richest early season events, and this year has attracted a strong lineup with all of the world's top 4 players looking to add their name to a winners list which includes 2 major champions and a former world number 1. The Lotte Championship has provided us with some spectacular moments over the past 5 years. Oh, it's in the hole. So who will thrill us this year and be hula dancing on the 18th green at Ko'olina come Saturday night? Golf Channel and the LPGA Tour proudly present the season-long race to the CME Globe. From the island of Oahu in Hawaii, it's first round coverage of the Lotte Championship presented by Hershey. We are on the western shore of Oahu, 13 miles as the crow flies from Pearl Harbor, 27 miles from famed Waikiki. The LPGA Tour first played at Ko'olina back in 1990, the year that the golf course was officially opened. This is the 6th playing of the Lotte Championship on the Ko'olina Golf Club. The rolling hills overlooking the ocean. It is a beautiful setting. And very glad you could be with us for day 1 coverage on this Wednesday evening on the East Coast. This event has provided so many great moments over its very short history. Who could forget Lizette Salas with that 62 in the final round and then losing in a playoff to Suzanne Pedersen. Min-Ji Lee coming through the field last year and is the defending champion this week. Se-Young Kim holding out in a playoff over Imbi Park to win. And of course Michelle Wie winning here on home soil, her first win on American soil. She won in 2014 and will go on to win a major championship later that year. She described her victory here as a dream come true. Now, Michelle Wie is having a good year. She finished 4th in Singapore, 6th at the ANA Inspiration a couple of weeks ago. That event, of course, was won by So-Yeon Yu. Who could forget that Sunday in Rancho Mirage as So-Yeon Yu won in a playoff over Lexi Thompson. Thompson will return to action in a couple of weeks' time, but So-Yeon Yu is here, and she's on the golf course currently. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of So-Yeon Yu. She said coming into this week that she is nervous, a lot of expectations, and we'll just have to see how she performs. There is no doubt that the spotlight is shining brighter than ever on So-Yeon Yu, but so far so good. We saw that birdie at the opening hole to get to 1 under par, and this is at the 2nd hole, and just avoiding the bunker on the left side, and now a little uphill with the 2nd shot. So-Yeon Yu winning a major championship for the 2nd time in her career. You will remember back in 2011, she burst onto the scene, winning the US Women's Open at the Broadmoor in a Monday finish over Hee Kyung-so. And another good approach from So-Yeon Yu, and that will give her a chance to start with back-to-back birdies here at the Lotte Championship. We've heard from myself, Tom Abbott. It is a great pleasure to be joined by Grant Boone and Karen Stupples in the booth. Mark Rolfing calling action from the odd-numbered holes this week. Out on the golf course, Jerry Foltz and Kate Cockrell. Kate Cockrell celebrating her 20th wedding anniversary today. So congratulations to Kate Cockrell and her husband, Danny. Let's go out to the 18th and Grant Boone.
Thank you so much, Tom. Beth Allen for par in a round of 67. Had a nice week at the Kia.
She did. She's been playing well. Developed a lot of confidence by playing on the Ladies European Tour.
We're at the
I
second.
think the pitching wedge is going.
Jerry Foltz with this group.
Yeah, I like that. I do believe there's some jump there.
Third shot here, Jerry.
Okay.
Yes, it is, Grant. She drove it into a really nasty, precarious side hill, uphill lie for her second shot, stymied by some palm trees, and basically the second shot with a hybrid caught the hill and nosedived, almost like she had topped it. That's from 103 yards. Should be a jumper lie, although that's high and floating in the wind and not going to hit the green.
Back we go to the first, Mark.
And in B Park for a birdie, Kay Cockrell is right there.
Both Kerr and Lincecum have missed their birdie putts. This a right to left breaking putt.
Had a pretty good line going for a while, but not quite enough pace, so she will start with a 5.
Lizette Salas has the course record here, 62. Tied for the lead. We'll talk to Lizette Salas when we come back to Kapolei and Ko-Olina Golf Club. Primetime golf on the LPGA.
Aloha and welcome to the 2017 Lotte Championship presented by Hershey, the 6th annual LPGA Tour event sponsored by Lotte Group. I am glad to welcome all the golf fans again for 2017 tournament, which take place here at this beautiful Ko-Olina Resort in Hawaii. We started celebrated the grand opening of Lotte World Tower in Korea, the 5th tallest building in the world, and also 50th anniversary of Lotte Group Korea. Lotte Championship has quickly earned a reputation as one of the most popular LPGA Tour events among the golf fans and players. This tournament has helped Lotte to gain a reputation as a global brand. So we have gradually decided to extend the sponsorship for 3 more years until 2020. On behalf of the entire Lotte family around the world, I wish the best of luck for all the players. Thank you and mahalo.
Mahalo to you, Chairman Shin. Fourth shot for Lydia Ko at the second.
Short-sighted, Grant, but the uphill lie will help a little bit. Oh, almost helped a lot a bit.
But after parring the first, the par 5, she will drop a shot here at the second. Let's get you to the 18th, and here is the second shot for Cheyenne Woods. And pay close attention here. She tries to bring it in right to left, Karen.
Yeah, but I think this one started out a little more right than she wanted.
Oh, yes. Woods off a tree. You can't make it up. And she'll have that for birdie. She's 1 under. Look at this again. Another look. A little kiss here at the Lotte Championship presented by Hershey.
It's not all bad breaks in golf. There are some good ones too.
Back at the second area, Chitanagarn. This was a moment ago.
After having one putted the first hole for bogey, the par 5, missed the green here. But that's a pretty good touch.
Not easy from the back of that green. Incredibly fast.
Well, this would be for, what, a 4th consecutive birdie going back to the A&A at the 18th, Jerry?
Yeah, that was a very, very slow putt there, though.
On the island of Oahu, the leeward side. 5-way tie for the lead, including a player with some success around these parts, Tom Abbott.
Yes, you can say that again, Grant. 62 Lizette Salas you shot here a few years ago. It still is the tournament course record here at Ko'olina. What is it about this golf course that you like so much?
I think it's just the groove that I get. I don't know. I just visualize the greens a lot better here. It's really challenging for me to play in the wind, and I like that challenge. And so I just play my straight shot and let the wind take it. And I'm just excited to be here. I mean, you can't complain when you're in Hawaii. And yes, I've had success here, and I think that's what gave me that extra confidence today.
It was 2013 that you lost in a playoff to Suzanne Petterson. It was kind of an emotional finish for you. What have you learned as a player since then?
I mean, I learned a lot of things. You know, you're not always going to play your best every day. And I really understood that everything's a process. And I think that finish on Saturday really taught me a great lesson, and I went ahead and the following year had my first win and got to play on now 2 Solheim Cups, and so it's really showed me, you know, what I'm capable of. And so today was not as exciting, but those 7 birdies made it really exciting, made it a great start for me today.
Yeah, 7 birdies, a couple of bogeys. Did the conditions change at all? Because obviously you played in the early part of the day.
Yeah, definitely. I think the first part of the day you could be a little more aggressive with the shorter irons. The winds definitely picked up, so on the final holes you definitely had to plan a couple of extra yards of rollout, and you know, greens got a little faster downwind into the wind, so that really changed the second half of my round.
Well, that'll give us something to watch over the next few hours of our coverage. You've been out there, you've played. What else should we watch for? Are there holes that you think are going to be really tricky out there for the players?
I think just the final holes on either side, you know, 16, 17, 18, 7, 8, 9. The pin placements are really, really challenging. I think on 8, even though it's a shorter iron, girls will probably still fly the green and make it difficult with that, you know, the breeze into. Just really try to minimize your mistakes and just play the wind. That's what I've been trying to do.
You did it pretty well today. Yeah. 5 under par. That's it. Thanks for talking to us. Best of luck the rest of the week.
Thank you very much.
Let's get back out to the action now. At the tee at the 3rd.
You're looking from behind So Yeon Yu here at the 3rd. Difficult tee shot. Wind quartering from the left. A little bit up the hill. Trouble both right and left, but she goes after the tee quickly, and that is why. That is a big one there. And let's go back over to Grant and Karen.
Mark, thank you. This is the first event on the LPGA Tour since the ANA Inspiration. A lot of disagreement, a lot of conversation, a lot of controversy about how it ended. I think there is a unanimous opinion. No one liked the way that it played out. You've had a week or so to think about it. What's your takeaway from what happened at Rancho Mirage here?
Exactly. No one enjoyed watching what happened on the Sunday there in Palm Springs, but I really feel that obviously when you looked at the video, she didn't put the ball back in the same place. Obviously that has to be the penalty. It doesn't matter where it comes from, it is the penalty. What I don't like is the fact that it happened the next day. I really believe that once the scorecard is signed, then that should be the be-all and end-all of that scorecard. If people want to call in, then call in during that round that they're playing, and you know, because that's using every possible way of doing it. There is an argument that people say, well, not everybody's on TV, not everybody gets put under the same scrutiny. Well, the fact that they're on TV means that they're making more money from sponsorship, they're playing well anyway, so they're in a good position. They have to realise that the camera's on them the whole time, in the same way as the microphone's on them the whole time.
Yeah.
If they use bad language, that'll be picked up as well. So you have to be aware of everything that's around you. Ultimately, none of this happens if she puts the ball in the same spot. Ultimately. So, do I like how it went down? No, not really. I didn't want to see that on Sunday. You know, it completely changed the whole mood of the tournament. It went from being a very buoyant, excited atmosphere to being completely flat out there.
It'll be interesting to see what rule changes, if any, come about after what happened to the ANA. Easy to get lost in all what happened. So Yeon, you played brilliantly down the stretch, and she got it done with a birdie at 18 from behind the green in regulation, and the birdie in the playoff to win it. Take a look at our featured groups, brought to you by JDX. The top 3 players in the world are underway. You've seen them already. So Yeon, you now number 2. Former number 1 in B Park, playing with another former number 1 in Christy Kerr and Brittany Lincecum. And we'll see Moria Jatanagarn, the defending champion Minjee Lee, and Paula Creamer, who won on this golf course in another tournament some 9 years ago now. To the 18th, we saw Cheyenne Woods doink one off the tree right at the green, and it carried on to this point.
And really a very lucky break. She would have had no shot, had the ball, missed the tree, ended up on the right. But from here, although it was quite a quick putt, I mean, she gave it a little too much caution, but would have been much easier for her.
That for a tree net 4.
Yeah.
At the 18th. 4-way tie for the lead. Soo-Yeon Jang playing on a sponsor's exemption. She played well here last year. And Stacey Lewis with a solid 68. Panarat Tanapul Bunyaras off to a good start as well. Today's coverage is brought to you by Lotte, enriching your life. CME Group, how the world advances. And by Win Grips, the best grips in golf.
Welcome back. This is So-Yeon Yu at the third, second shot up the hill to the par 4.
Just 103 yards, dead into that very strong wind. That was pitching wedge mark. Tried drilling it through that wind a bit. Hard to do with the wedge.
And that will sit nicely. Good distance control there. A little putt across the front of the green. Up to 18.
And Cheyenne Woods for her par.
You like to take advantage of the good luck when it comes. That was never really on line.
Even par 72 for Cheyenne Woods.
Back at 3 now, Area Jutanakarn with her second.
Downhill lie, but still just 82 yards to the hole.
That's a good one there. That'll back up and be a straight putt up the hill, a little bit on the slow side, but a good chance. Made a mess of that opening hole. See if she can make amends there at the second. See the name Beth Allen there. She is in with a round of 67, and she is down with Tom.
Thank you, Mark. And Beth, you have a really interesting story, don't you? Because your rookie year on the LPGA Tour was 2005, but this is only your second full year, and what, we're 12 years later. So talk about your story and how you kind of came to be here and in such good form.
I guess I struggled out here. I'm 5, 6, 7, and 8, and I was jumping around like Symetra and LPGA, and I thought it was time for a change, and so I went to the Ladies European Tour School and really just found my way out there. Like 2016 was a great year for me, and I won the Order of Merit, and I just felt like, you know what, I think I'll go back to the States and see what happens.
You know, you're the first U.S. player to win the LET Order of Merit. So how has that sort of changed your perspective now that you're older and wiser here on the LPGA Tour?
I guess, like, I've just taken my experience from all of those wins and being in contention more and brought it here, because at the end of the day, it's golf. It's the same in every country. So I am a confident player, and I think I can compete out here. So why not try again on the LPGA?
You'd never seen the front nine of the golf course before you played today. Does that make a difference? You didn't get a chance to play that front nine in practice?
No, I was really busy watching the Masters Sunday, so I couldn't fly here. But yeah, so I traveled Monday, and I trust my caddy. Sophie is an awesome caddy, and she was here, and she did her work, and we went on a little walk yesterday after I played the back nine, and I thought, that's okay, like, and I felt really ready, so it didn't bother me that much.
Well, you're 2 under par for it, so obviously didn't make too much of a difference. Your caddy, by the way, not just a good caddy, but a very good player. Sophie Gustafson, you remember that name. She is on the bag for Beth Allen this week. Thanks very much, Beth. Let's go out to the third.
Well, Area Jutanakarn totally misread that putt. For some reason, she thought it was going left. Never had a chance to do that. She's a little confused. We go to 18.
That 42-year-old Becky Morgan from Wales. She's birdied 5 of her last 6 holes, and here's her second to the 18th.
18th is a really tough driving hole. You see Becky going in with a hybrid. She doesn't hit a long ball, but you have to really choose the tee shot carefully, because you can run through very easily into the water, being downwind, especially today.
Back to 3.
So-Yeon Yu now for a birdie, Jerry.
Good look here, Mark. This one has to be moving a little right. A little bit of slope that way, certainly the grain and the wind.
Beautiful flowing stroke there. What a 3 that is. 4-4-3. Wonderful start for So-Yeon Yu. 2 under par. She heads over to the par 3. We go back to the second.
And Christy Kerr for birdie, and Kate Cockrell is watching.
A rather tough putt from the upper tier down to the lower. But Christy's such a good putter, you never count her out.
That's the story of these greens, isn't it, Karen?
It is. It's all about the tiers and the slopes and the undulations. And when they say that, you know, they're stimping a little slower than an average LPGA event at about 10.5, your uphill putts are going to be nearer 8, and your downhill putts are going to be nearer 13. So there's a great deal of difference for the players to have to adjust to.
And now Lydia Ko for her par.
Good 6 feet here, Mark. Maybe right center. She came up well short of the green, at least a close short on her second shot from the fairway. Pitched it to here, left it under the hole, which is good, but a little too far to be all that comfortable.
This is the slow one Karen was referring to a moment ago. That's nice and firmly hit. So she kind of scratched her way up the first couple of holes, did Lydia Ko there.
At the 18th, Becky Morgan. This is for birdie and a share of the lead. You've known Becky a while, haven't you?
I have. I played on the Curtis Cup with her, played on some Vagliano Trophy teams with her. Vagliano Trophy is Great Britain against Europe. It's uphill, going slow. It's really hard to make yourself hit it that hard when you have to go up these tiers.
To the tee at the 4, Area Jatanagarn.
Playing downwind, a little from the left as well. This is 7-iron for Area. Soyuncu's already played with a 6-iron to the back right edge, just missed the green. This is heart of the green here, it appears.
And just before Area, this was Soyuncu. Great start, 2 birdies in her first 3.
It's a really smooth swing, controlled, but being downwind, it's a very difficult club selection.
Let's get to the tee at the 8th, and Sandra Chankisha having a nice start, 3 under.
The top tier of this green where this hole is located is very skinny. She landed it just into the top of the upslope. Has left herself in a great spot for birdie.
That is her 17th hole of the day. She is in the final group out in the morning off 10. Well, let's take a look at our map and put your seats in.
Well, honestly, it's not really about hitting the fairways. It's all about hitting the greens and trying to be in the right spot on the greens. They are a little slower at 10.5, but that's primarily because of the wind. They don't want it getting out of control and having balls rolling. But the Bermuda grass on the fairways means that you can get some really grainy lies, and that's also important. Today they're playing lift, clean and play, so not quite as important as days when they don't.
This is a par putt for Suyeon Chung. This for a round of 67. Played so well here last year, was in contention, and she had won a Lotte sponsored event on the Korean LPGA Tour last year, the week before getting here. That's a nice save. And today's aerial coverage is provided by the Hawaiian Islands. Mark, how similar is this golf course to others we see on the islands, the various islands?
Well, as you mentioned, Grant, this is on the leeward side of the island. You know, it's a pretty flat golf course, but there's a lot of slope in the greens. As Karen said, it's really a second shot golf course, much more of a premium there than on the driving. And you really have to pay attention when you get on these greens. This is a look from behind the third green back down the fairway. NB Park has a second shot in here, and Kay is right there.
And Mark NB is a second shot expert, ranking 4th on the tour in greens hit in regulation. Not too many weaknesses in her game at all, however. Hit a good drive down the left-hand side, just a wedge in.
That one is going to feed on down to the right-hand portion. Key is hitting the ball solid in conditions like this. Much more important than necessarily hitting it low. Let's go back to 18.
And Becky Morgan for her first round in the 60s. And she will take it. She's missed the cut in her first 3 events, but that's a terrific start. Sometimes one round can do it, can't it?
You're looking for that little spark, that little bit that can spur you on, give you confidence to keep going, and that is nice. To get off to have a 68 means that she's not going to have to worry as much about making the cut tomorrow.
Right, Jerry, what about So-Yeon Yu's second shot here at the 4th?
Well, something she hasn't gotten much practice at this year. You heard Kay mention NB Park's 4th in greens in regulation, the young lady leading that statistical category. So-Yeon Yu at nearly 84%. She's hitting the greens. The good news is when she misses them, she's 3rd in scrambling. Pretty routine shot here, turning left a little bit. Appears to be downhill as it turns left, but it's not very quick.
We saw her play 2 spectacular chip shots on the 18th hole at the A&A Inspiration. One to make birdie in regulation.
About like that?
Exactly. She's been working really hard on that portion of her game as well.
Her instructor is Cameron McCormick, the same coach as Jordan Spieth. And she has actually had a little time to practice with Spieth at the end of last year, briefly. There's Ariya Jutanugarn. Well, last week, Ariya Jutanugarn, with the LPGA having a week off, was in Augusta, receiving this honor as Player of the Year on the LPGA Tour in 2016 from the Golf Writers Association of America, along with Bernhard Langer. Dustin Johnson was not present because of that misstep that cost him a chance to play in the Masters. But Ariya and Moria got a chance to stand in front of the big board there at Augusta National and soak up the sights and sounds of the Masters. One we'll be talking about. And Jerry, you heard Beth Allen a minute ago say she was watching the Masters. At the Masters, they were talking about the LPGA last week.
Yeah, that became very newsworthy, didn't it? There were many articles written as late as Wednesday and Thursday, saying that when has the LPGA been in the news as much as it has been this week? Of course, it was for all the wrong reasons because of good look and effort there out of Ariya. All the wrong reasons because of the rules issue regarding Lexi, but a lot of people still have very strong thoughts on that.
I want to get your thoughts, Jerry, a little bit later, but first at the 8th, Sandra Chankisha to get to 4 under. The grain gobbled it up, didn't it?
It did. It's almost like watching a ball roll through a puddle. You know, as it approaches the hole, it's like hitting the brakes, dropping anchor.
We had some puddles yesterday, Mark. Some heavy rain in the area. This is at the 4th, and Lydia Ko.
A little bit uphill over a small tier in the green early. They'll turn it left. After that, not a lot to it, but kind of slow. Should die just a touch left.
Good pace there. So good effort for Lydia Ko. I can tell you, Grant, the Masters last week, I was on live from the Masters, and we were still talking about the LPGA on Friday of last week. And even going around town doing a couple of corporate outings and things at night. That's really was the main subject on everybody's mind at Augusta National. Pretty amazing.
World #1 Lydia Ko, 1 over. Back at 3.
Christy Kerr now for a birdie, Kay.
And Mark Christie is someone who is a very big supporter of Lexi. Teamed quite successfully with her at the last Solheim Cup. In fact, I think they won 2.5 points together of the necessary points to win. This putt, she has to keep it high and firm at the start. Yeah, that was a 1 in 20 chance at best of making that putt.
Back to area.
Par putt. 5 wins all since last May for Area Jutanugarn. Remember, of course, at the A&A, she had that 2-shot lead with 3 to play and stumbled. Early stumble here today. She'll have a par 5 here coming up. And now this for a tremendous up and down for So-Yeon Yu.
Yeah, this is, well, it's that length. You wouldn't even putt in a practice round or even a gambling game, is it? Or a match play event. Just a formality. Maybe just over a foot.
And yet that's the distance that caused all the hubbub at the A&A. Back to 3.
NB Park now had a pretty good look at Christy Kerr's putt.
See how well she learned from that putt of Christie's. She had the idea, just lacked the speed.
Oh yeah, hit it!
That was Mark Rolfing earlier today, standing on his head here.
Nope.
Home week, not you, eh?
Not me. Can't figure out why that guy does that, actually. I've seen him do that out there.
Doesn't seem especially aerodynamic. Salas, Allen, G, Chung. 5 under on this par 72. Good to see Stacey Lewis off to a good start. 69 consecutive events without a victory for Stacey Lewis. Nicole Brock Larson is playing the 18th. Good rounds for Kang. Shimen Fang, Tanapul Bunyaras, and the last couple of groups are finishing up from the morning. And the afternoon groups are off and running, including So-Yeon Yu, who won a couple of weeks ago. This is the 6th Lotte Championship presented by Hershey. And each year it has come after an off week following the ANA. Suzuka Yamaguchi, an amateur, and a sponsor's invitation. Michelle Wie, 71, with 2 birdies in her first 3 holes. Got off to a hot start with a lot of folks, home folks, watching here in her native Hawaii. Scoring average just a touch over par. Let's send it down to Tom Abbott.
Well, thank you, Grant. Becky, we just saw you finish up on 18, and Karen Stupples was saying when you've had a sort of not a good start to the year, you need something to click. You missed 3 cuts coming in here. You're 1 over through 11 holes, but then you finish up with a 68. What clicked with you? 5 birdies in the last 7.
Yeah, I mean, the front 9 just struggled a little bit. Ball striking wasn't great. I didn't hit it close enough to the pin. Kind of gave myself a little talking to through going to the 10th. And then just hit some really good shots. You know, a couple of tap-ins, a good kind of 15-footer on 12. So just totally turned my round around. Yeah, so. The
golf course is a little softer this year. Does that make it easier?
In a way, yes. I mean, obviously into the greens are really receptive. For someone like me who doesn't hit it super far, the fairways are a little soft, so I'm coming in with more club than would be ideal, but it definitely makes it a little more easy into the greens.
You grew up in Wales. You're from Wales, where it gets a little breezy, as we may see at the British Senior Open this summer. You now live in Port St. Lucie, where the wind does blow. Does that mean you like playing in the wind? It was windy today.
I enjoy it. I mean, I enjoy kind of being a little more creative with some shots and stuff. I mean, there's definitely a lot of golf courses where you need the wind for it to be a good golf course. I mean, I think this would be one of them where if there's no wind, there's really no defence here. So same with a lot of British Open golf courses. And I actually, fortunately, got to play Bandon Dunes a couple of weeks ago. So that was kind of good preparation for this, although it was about 40 degrees cooler. But you know, just kind of keeping shots down and just being a little more creative is kind of my thing. So.
And you're involved with the Oregon Women's. Are you still coaching there?
Yeah, I'm the official volunteer assistant. So I went with the team a couple of weeks ago when I wasn't playing ANA. So it's great for me, actually. I help them out and helps my game as well. Just, you know, trying to with mental stuff, and I kind of say it to them. And I'm like, why am I not doing that? So yeah, it's good for me. I love it.
We know Oregon State team will be watching you over the next 3 days, so you'll have some support. Thanks very much for stopping by, and best of luck here in the Lotte Championship. Let's get back out to the 5th.
Speaking of collegiate stars, Mark.
Stackhouse just recently turned professional. Mariah Stackhouse, our first look at the par 5. It's going to be a pivotal hole today because it's playing downwind. Wonderful collegiate career and high expectations for Mariah as a professional.
And the 18th second shot for Nicole Brock Larson. She had an interesting February event, Mark.
She did, Grant. I've never heard of this one before. She was playing the LET in Europe and was actually leading the tournament after the first 2 rounds. Had not taken a caddy. Said she didn't need a caddy. Obviously she didn't. She was leading. And then they told her she had to take a caddy on the weekend and shot a pair of 79s. Go figure.
Wow. Marissa Steen, who has a caddy, playing there with Nicole Brock Larson. This is the final group from the morning wave off the first tee. So last hole of the day here for Steen and company.
Marissa played quite well at Kia a couple of weeks ago, and really had learned a lot from being on tour, having to go back to play the Symetra Tour. Now feels very comfortable playing on the LPGA.
Okay, over at the 5th, this is the shot that I'm talking about that's so important, Jerry Foltz. So-Yeon Yu looking skyward to try and figure out where the wind is coming from.
Had the 3-wood in her hands now.
I don't think so. I think just hit the 22 and go to 3-foot together. Come across the green. Okay. Go straight a bit. Just
Okay, so what I surmise from this, Mark, is trying to get it on the green is no longer the option or the idea, the goal. This is trying to hit it up there, hole high, right of the green, which is the safest shot. Such a tough shot to get on the green, 235 yards away, 228 to the front, or 227, excuse me.
I think it's maybe the toughest shot on the course, so she is aimed at the tallest of the palm trees there on the right.
And the wind is helping, but also a little from the left, so it works against the shot you need to hit to try and get it on the green. This will be safe.
That'll be all right. Not a lot of green to work with today on the angle from over there. Television doesn't do justice to the front right part of this green. A little bit of a false front over there. Now, area.
This is a 5-iron, 220 the hole, 213 to the front, and trying to hit a low power hook and try and chase it up there.
That was a semi-layup, which I'm not sure what that is, but it was a pretty aggressive one, I'll tell you that, to get that close to that hazard. Back to 4.
And Christy Kerr for birdie, Kay.
Grant, Christy lining up this birdie putt. It's a good 40-footer. I have to say I had the pleasure of playing in her recent Birdies for Breast Cancer fundraiser that she held at Olympic Club last Friday. She held the event for years on the East Coast at Liberty National, but intends to hold it at Olympic Club for the next 4 years leading up to the Women's Open that will be played there in 2021.
Third shot at the 18th for Nicole Brock-Larson.
Had a good performance at Evian, so she knows what playing on the LPGA is all about. It is a little different from playing in the Ladies European Tour. Courses typically set up a little bit tougher over here. Greens quicker, but has a lot of talent, and most people in Europe tend to believe that she's going to be one of those players that has potential to be a Solheim Cup player in the future, if not this year.
At the 4th, NB Park for birdie.
Again, getting a teach off of Kerr. Two of the best putters on the LPGA Tour.
Boy, I'll say, they don't need much help, do they?
No. With NB, it's all intuition and feel. Never has had a real putting lesson except for a few observations from her husband.
4 pars to start. First round.
Over at 9, Sandra Chankita, her second shot. Gotten it to 3 under par. First look at this par 4. And that's the way to use the ground. Bounces up, leaves it about 20 feet below the hole. A little bit of an uphill hooking putt. And the reason that Lydia Ko has her hand on that ball is they are playing lift, clean, and plays today. There was some considerable rain yesterday afternoon. They were anticipating a little more this afternoon, but I don't see it coming.
I like your optimism, Mark, especially being the outdoor pet today. He just has 58 yards remaining here. Breeze almost entirely from the left. And you do, even though it's only 58 yards, you have to factor that in a little bit.
58, a little bit of a handcuff distance, isn't it, Jerry?
Yeah, for a lot of players, but she is so dialed in, just day in and day out with her wedges of any length.
Oh, that's a beauty. Total control there by Lydia Ko. Too much spin, and she would have been chipping another one. It's a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon here on the island of Oahu. back to the Ko-Olina Golf Club. This was a moment ago at 5. So Young Yu with her third shot at the par 5.
And that was from just a little inside 40 yards. It was always going to be tough to put enough spin on it to keep it below the hole.
Took a big first bounce, so she will be putting it back down the hill. Now this is live for a birdie.
Looking left of the hole, expecting it to drop right. And the wind's blowing across the line just the opposite direction. Could hold it up some. But this hole, sitting down at a very low point of this side of the golf course, is pretty well protected.
Did she hit it? Nope. Par for you at the 5th. She will walk over to 6th, thinking she squandered a shot there. But it's only the first round, so we go up to 18.
And Marissa Steen finishing up her opening round here at the Lotte Championship for birdie and a 69.
And the ball rolls really well through those fringes. Very true.
70's a good start to the 9th.
Sandra Chankajah for a birdie. Pretty straight putt. Oh, she thought maybe it would turn right, but it's almost never going to go toward those mountains. Back down to 5 now. Lydia Ko from below the hole. Up to a slow start, but she can get back to level par here. Got to hit this one firm, though, Jerry.
Yeah, pretty much it is uphill. One of those rare ones where most of the grain runs the opposite way of this one. Runs toward the, I guess, over to our condos over there, basically, which would be straight in line with this putt. A little slow, not terribly. Ooh.
A little more pace it might have gone, but it was right all the way. 5 for Ko. She won't be happy with that one. Let's take another look. Oh, the ball is bobbling just a little. That line should be tumbling straight over. So she might have cut across it just a little bit. 3 5s in the first 5 holes, though. That is not a good start here. Arya Jutarnagar now for her birdie.
Probably got a little bit of a teach there, Mark, didn't she, from Lydia? Left side of the hole. Keep the speed up. Maybe left edge if you don't.
So much of putting on these greens, on these seaside courses in Hawaii, is about confidence, Jerry. If you hit it with conviction, you always have a better chance of making it. You're never going to wish this putt in.
Yeah,
that was low, just like I said. Three pars at 5 in that grouping. So she will have played the 1st and the 5th in 1 over par. You're not going to win the Lotte Championship doing that on the par 5s. Here's one more look. It's amazing how when those balls miss on the low side, they never fall uphill into the hole. Once it's low, it's gone.
Nicole Brock Larson for par. Marissa Steen made her par. So the last 2 players of the year on the Ladies European Tour are off to good starts. Beth Allen, a 67. Nicole Brock Larson, 2 years ago the player of the year on the LET with a 68, joining Stacey Lewis among others. Prime time at the Lotte Championship back on the East Coast. We've got primetime players, the top 3 in the world rankings, including number 2 So Yeon Yu in our Wednesday coverage. Saturday finish here on Oahu. Golf Channel and the LPGA Tour are proud to present the Lotte Championship presented by Hershey here in western Oahu. It's the 8th event out of 34 official money events on the LPGA Tour in 2017. Salas, Allen, G, Chung, all in at 5 under. On a golf course that's been quite receptive this morning. The afternoon groups are teeing off. The morning groups have all finished. Grant Boone, major champion Karen Stupples, joined by Mr. Hawaii, kind of our Don Ho of the week, Mark Rolfing. Tom Abbott is here, Jerry Foltz and Kate Cockrell. We'll get you to the 6th and ANA Inspiration Champion So-Yeon Yu.
Pretty wide fairway. Players do have to be careful of driving through on the left side. No problem for So-Yeon. Ball striking particularly good this year. Hits lots of fairways, lots of greens.
Back we go to the 5th.
This was just earlier, second shot for Christy Kerr, and Kay was right there.
After 288-yard drive, oh, this going left.
Get lucky, she says. That is not lucky.
Did that go in the water way left?
Yes, it did, Christy, but it doesn't matter because it ricocheted off that wood right there as we go to 6.
And Mariah Stackhouse for birdie.
Slow putt, back up the hill.
Is it enough? Oh yeah,
reached.
most stacks. She's 1 under. Four-way tie for the lead and a nice group chasing. One of them, Nicole Brock-Larson, is with Tom Abbott.
Thank you, Grant. This is Nicole's first visit to Hawaii. I'm sure you like it from what you've seen so far, certainly with the golf you played today. You Monday qualified into the event in the Bahamas. You have conditional status on the LPGA Tour this year. How important was today and how important is this week for you?
Well, I mean, obviously it's quite important. I mean, the reshuffle is right after the next event in Texas, so if I can make the cut and have a good finish this week, it'll be very good.
Yeah, the LPGA Tour uses a priority list to get into the fields, and players are reshuffled, as you say, after that tournament in Texas. So you're looking for a big paycheck this week to reshuffle higher. Now, talk about your year so far. You've been all over the world, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Bahamas, Australia, Florida, China, and now I'm here. So yeah, it's been all over. But I haven't played my best golf. But in Bahamas, I played quite well. I had one bad round, and then I mean, today was a really good day. I like this course, and with this wind, I feel more confident in wind than I did last year. So yeah, a good day here, and I'm looking forward to the next 3 days.
Now, job security among the caddy ranks on the LPGA Tour is not always that high. And Mark Rolfing told us a little story earlier about you at the Vic Open. Caddy's job security for you may be really low after what he was saying. Tell us a little bit about what happened there with the caddy situation.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Australia without a caddy because, I mean, first we could like do all 4 days on our own, and I'm normally pretty good on my own. I don't really, I mean, it's nice to have a caddy, but I feel like I'm good on my own too. I won the Symetra Tour final last year on my own. So yeah, I played the first 2 rounds. I was leading, and then, I mean, not that it was the caddy's fault, but then I got a caddy and I played really bad. But yeah, I mean, this week I have a guy called Scott from Scotland, and he's normally challenged to a caddy for one of the Danish guys. So he's here this week for me, and then. Yeah, if I make a good result this week and get into more events, I'll have to find a caddy.
Scott knows where he stands. Well, best of luck this week. I hope it goes well for you. Thanks for talking to us. And as you just said, you're going to Spain right from here next week to play the LET, and then you may come right back and play in Texas. So we may see more of you. Thanks, Nicole. Let's get back out to the action now at the 6th hole.
And you see our marquee group with some folks watching. Jerry Foltz is out there. And again, they're playing preferred lies, Jerry, and talking to some of the rules officials. It was just mainly precautionary.
Yeah, they had some rain yesterday. They were expecting some today. It's the one thing where the USGA and golf's professional tour organizing bodies completely disagree. The USGA will tell you, to the best of their knowledge, they have never played preferred lies in a national championship, but it happens all the time on the LPGA, the PGA Tour. All organizing bodies do that. I think more than anything, it's to help players get around the course. If there were a lot of casual water out here, it's not that way yet, but it could have been.
She's missed the green, but she'll have a birdie look to the 7th.
Aditi Ashok has gotten it to 3 under. This is for a birdie, hoping it'll turn left. It doesn't. Still a nice round going. She will tap that one in for her par. We go back to 6.
And with the shades on, So-Yeon Yu with a second shot.
This from 139 yards. She's seen both fellow competitors before Area hit. Lydia Ko hit and airmailed the green as well. Area a little long, so I would expect this to be adjusted and maybe come up a little short. Maybe.
She threw no shade at Lexi Thompson. In fact, the way that those two spoke about one another after what happened to the ANA was one of the redeeming parts about that incident. Mutual respect. 4-way tie for the lead of the Lotte Championship at Ko'olina in Kapolei, Hawaii. Third shot at the 6th hole for world #1 Lydia Ko.
This is impossible. Severe downhill lie. Green slopes away from her. Not much to utilize at all. If you land it short, it might just stop dead. But I've seen her hit impossible shots and make them look routine before. Hard to imagine doing much better than that without hitting the flagstick.
Hard to imagine she would make that kind of a mistake mentally by letting her go that far over the green.
Yeah, it was from the first cut of rough. It was a little bit of a jumper, but not that much.
Take a look at the race to the CNE Globe. So-Yeon Yu with the victory at the ANA Inspirations vaulted to the top of the standings. Chitanagarden without a victory this year in 2nd place. Same for Lexi Thompson, in B Park, and Hannah Jang, and Mirem Lee, and Anna Nordquist, Amy Yang, all with victory. Same for Brittany Lincecum.
I can't remember a time when I didn't see Lydia Ko in the top 10 of that category.
Harriet Jatanagarn for birdie at the 6th.
Just maybe a foot off the green, turning right the entire way. Needs to go a little bit.
Last year's CME Globe champion. Remember, this time last year we were wondering, boy, how in the world would she respond from that horrible disappointment, how she finished to the ANA, and she showed us, didn't she?
She did. She started working with Pia and Lynn Marriott from Vision 54, and they really helped her through all of that, gave her some mental tools for which she can use on the golf course.
Christy Kerr didn't play a particularly good 4th shot after hitting the ball in the water at 5. This is for a par.
And from that length, got to be careful about not 3-putting.
And careful she was, Kay, so she will tap that in for a bogey. Back up to 6.
And the birdie putt for So-Yeon Yu to get to 3 under.
Very slow one. This will require something near a pivot on the backstroke. Straight up the hill, straight into the green, straight into the wind. Not a lot of break at all.
And to the tee at the par 3/8, Aditi Ashok of India.
I like it. Yeah. It's the same distance.
An Olympic competitor last year, tied for 41st in Rio. A couple of times a winner on the Ladies European Tour last year. To 7.
Second shot for Bronchi Law. Big old swing with just a pitching wedge or 9-iron. Birdie opportunity. Or how about a 2? That is a beauty there. So she could kick that one in for a birdie 3 for Law. She gets to -1. We go back to 6.
Oh, Jerry, there was a time last year, the last couple of years, you would have almost given this to Lydia Ko. She was, even though it's some 15 feet, she was #1 on tour in putting last year, 55th this year.
Yeah, the putting stats are well down this year. I know she has worked with her new instructor, Gary Gilchrist, on trying to take away a little of the face rotation of the putting stroke.
Everything is different again with the putter. It's a new putter. It has a different feel, insert on the face. Doesn't have an insert, this one, but her old one used to. Different grip on the same thing too. And not only is it a different grip in her hands, but she's holding it, instead of left hand low, she's gripping it normally. So there's been a lot of changes all across the board in Lydia's game. She's almost like she's trying to reinvent herself.
To 7.
Mayor name of Emily Tubert, who is marching her way down to the front of the green. She won 6 times at the University of Arkansas, 3-time All-America. Hasn't really busted through yet.
She's another player, Mark, that just has conditional status on the LPGA Tour. And this is a perfect week for these players that have this opportunity to really make hay whilst the sun's shining. When you have such limited status, once you get in, there is a great deal of pressure on the players to achieve and to perform. But it is that opportunity. And as Nicole Brookler said, they do reshuffle. If you play well, you have more chances to get in.
It's just so difficult, Karen, when you don't know when you're going to start a tournament or not. She will smack that one about 4 feet by. That won't be the easiest comebacker. Just a totally different kind of pressure for the players that only have conditional status. Back over to 6. This person does not have conditional status.
That's well said. This for par. So-Yeon Yu won her 2nd major championship a couple of weeks ago.
It's a tee shot at 7 for So-Yeon Yu. 2 under par. Slight dogleg to the right.
Slopes left to right as well. Pretty generous fairway. Wind helping. Not a hard fairway to hit.
She's always got that power bounce. Generates a lot of club head speed with a seemingly effortless swing. Good spot there for her second. And back to 6.
Former world #1 NB Park. Kate Cockrell is there.
On the ball, so it's probably going to go a little left.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to.
I don't think it's going to fly very far at all, mate. All right. I like that play. All right. Should be in slightly from the left, mate, this fruit.
Love to hear those calming, reassuring words from her longtime caddy, Brad Beecher. Obviously has gotten herself in a spot of bother, a good 10 yards off the fairway, and a nasty lie. Going to gouge this out with her 4 hybrid. Just try to get it up somewhere close to the green. Oh, and that wasn't a very good kick. If it had cleared that heavy rough, it might have trundled up close to the front of the green.
We mentioned Aditi Ashok having a nice start, 3 under through 7.
And Kay was telling us a little story during the break that Aditi went back to India, and she only got word that she was in this event not that long ago, got on the plane, flew over here, and is playing well and taking advantage of her opportunity.
To the 5th.
Third shot for Minjee Lee. Players are having so much trouble getting that ball hole high, and they are not making those putts from above that 5th hole.
It's almost like they're caught between going for it and not going for it. I always feel like if you're going to lay up to a good number. Give yourself a full shot, knowing that it's downwind.
No semi-layups, in other words. We saw one of those earlier. Take a look at the past winners. How about a little Sunday, or a Saturday, I suppose. 64 for Minjee Lee. Came from behind to beat Katie Burnett. Sometimes you lose and sometimes somebody else wins, right?
It was, and that's exactly what happened. Minjee Lee really just came out here on that Sunday and just took it to the golf course.
There's her finishes at the Lotte Championship.